Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
We need a little, like, acclimation time before we get started. I noticed that we always jump right in.
What do you mean?
Like
it always takes us 20 years to get into the podcast. I feel like I listen to a show and it's like, man, when are they going to start talking about magic? All they're talking about is their stupid lives.
Do you really
I don't hear about that? No, this is a bit, Kenny. This is a bit.
I thought we were acclimating still.
Didn't you hear the bit voice change? This is the bit voice. This is my normal voice. This is how I normally talk.
Real voice, Amber.
All of Red Mage Blue Mage is talking in my bit voice. This is my real voice.
Should I show them my real voice?
No, God, don't.
Hi! I'm Kenny and I play blue.
I'm Amber and I play red.
This is Red Mage Blue Mage.
Okay, let's go back into our bit voices.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a reason that we use our bit voices and not our real
exactly.
voices. They're not audio friendly.
No, they're not.
Yikes. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Good question. I don't know.
You do.
I'm still doing my bit voice. Gosh, what are you going to be like?
What are we talking about?
No, stop. We are talking about the planes.
The planes.
Of Magic the Gathering.
We've talked a lot about planes walkers.
Yeah.
But we haven't really gotten to know the planes that are being walked.
I only know one plane.
Which is what?
Wow, I don't even know one shit.
Well, this will be a short podcast. All right, do you want? We should get into actually talking about them because we're gonna start by picking cards.
No,
picking planes.
Planes.
Some of them have been made into cards, but yes, let's pick a card.
Pick a card. You son of a bitch.
All right.
So we're talking our top 3 favorite planes. And I'm curious what you did here, because you started in Lorwyn.
Mm-hmm.
Took a long hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started playing again in a Ravnica set? Is that when you came back? Ixalan?
Oh, no, I just realized how I pick stuff. Yeah, continue.
What plane did you come back on? Do you remember?
Remember I was like, return to Ravnica? I've never even been.
That's right. Yeah, you came back for Guilds of Ravnica.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so you've only really been personally firsthand experience exposed to a pretty small sample size of planes. I'm so curious what the mishap was here. I can't wait to find out. Should we just get into it?
Yeah, we should just immediately get into it.
Number 3.
You want me to go first since you were the one who picked the topic?
Please.
I realize now that you basically just like cracked the code of how I picked these things. So the first plane I picked is or my third plane. The first one, oh my god. The first one I'm going to talk about, my third pick, is Eldraine.
My number 3. I literally said number 3. Just go.
The first one I'm going to talk about, which is a number 30 plane, is Eldraine.
Okay.
You made me say it again. Jeez. So I like Eldraine because why? Magic. Fairy tales.
Yeah.
The end. That's how I picked this.
Okay. Magic and fairy tales. So I don't want to get into potential spoilers, so stop me if this is something you want to talk about later.
Okay.
But obviously, and people have pointed this out, Lorwyn and Eldraine have a lot of overlapping features. So
Eldraine is no. So Eldraine is a plane that has humans and knights and stuff, and I don't really see it as like there's some crossover to Lorwyn, but it feels more structured. Mm-hmm. So like actually there have like realms on Eldraine, and there's like 5 courts, and they got all this stuff, and well, yada yada yada.
There's more structure, mythology, and rules.
Yes, and so I don't really see it as tied to Lorwyn, really. I could talk about that more later.
Okay. I'm getting into it more. I mean, do you want to talk about anything else, Eldraine? I mean, visually, it's very striking as well.
I think because I don't really read a lot about the actual planes themselves. Like, I really don't. Like, basically what I've read is just from this wiki. I mean, I guess that's how you would know, unless you read the stories and other stuff. But, like, I just played the set. I really like the set a lot, the cards. And I really like the adventure mechanic. And just, yeah, I like these old fairy tales coming to life through cards.
Great. Okay, that's fair. I mean, I am not super surprised that this made your list. This makes a lot of sense as an amber plane.
Yes.
Let's go to my number 3, which probably makes a lot of sense for me.
Phyrexia, without even looking.
I mean, you're close.
Mirrodin. Okay, that was
Mirrodin.
Close.
Mirrodin, which is now in the story New Phyrexia, but I specifically love Mirrodin. I think you actually talked about in a previous podcast.
Yeah, my ship.
You really liked the story of Glissa and Slow Bad, and I loved that. I loved the story. I liked the Cauldron artifacts. I liked the maniacal, mad god at the center of the world story. I love a world that's not what it seems, which is part of that. And Mirrodin just felt... It still feels very unique among Magic sets. Like, if you look at some of the art, especially from the original Mirrodin, the Mirror Enforcers, like, they're so technological in a way that we really haven't seen anywhere else. Even on Kaladesh, which is like, the plane of invention, doesn't feel as just modern technological as Mirrodin. And I like that. I love the look of Mirrodin. Like, you're on Mirrodin just by the look of a card. I think it's a super cool place, and it was the center of a very cool story. It's still a cool story. I'm a little irritated because you brought up Phyrexia. I'm actually irritated that Mirrodin has basically been obliterated by Phyrexia. We'll see what they do with it, because they could dial it, like, whenever we go back, because I'm like, the Phyrexians are the clear next villain, big bad of the Magic story. So we're going to be back, and we'll see what ultimately happens. I feel like there's enough love for Mirrodin that they want to bring it back. I don't know why, unless, they're the Scars of Mirrodin, unless I just did so poorly, but I think it was pretty well received.
I don't know anything about Mirrodin.
You know a little bit about Mirrodin.
I mean, Glissa and Slow Bad, but
Right.
that's it.
It's an artificial plane. Karn constructed it back when planeswalkers were basically gods. He just built this world. It's when he, like, turned his back on Dominaria and all of that shit that was behind him. And he's like, Urza's gone. My purpose is fulfilled. I just want to make a good place. And so he made this world, and he carried the drop of the Phyrexian oil with him, which started to corrupt it. And he left Mimnarch, which is sort of his scion in the world. He left him there, and then Karn went on about his business elsewhere, and he came back, and Mimnarch had gone mad and is becoming flesh-like, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
What the heck? I wish I could make a plane.
It's a cool story. Yeah, maybe we'll get to that.
I wish I was making a plane right now. Okay, are you ready for the second one I'm going to talk about, which is also the second pick.
Number 2.
It's Ravnica. I think Ravnica is just fucking awesome as a setting. A plane that's just a giant city with, like, all these ridiculous factions and all this fucking intrigue and drama and trash and horrible shit happening. I love it as a setting. It reminds me a lot of our actual D&D setting that we did for Geek Spectos Tales from Mox Fairy, or Evil Is As Evil Does.
Megalopolis.
Our Megaopolis Mox Fairy, which is, like, kind of a lot like Ravnica, except
a lot of factions.
A lot of different factions, a lot of different groups. It's all mixed. It's a melting pot. And there's always some crazy shit going on somewhere. I love it. I like it a lot.
So
and yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say we should spend some extra time talking about this, because this was my number 1, actually.
Oh, really? So,
Yes.
oops.
No, it's fine. I think this is the first time we've actually overlapped on a pick.
Cool. So we're skipping your number 2 to also talk about your number 1, which is
Yes.
my number 2.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think Ravnica IMO is sort of beyond dispute the best setting.
You can just do so much there.
Yeah, exactly. When I say the best, I'm not saying if you have a different favorite, you're wrong. I'm just saying looking at it on a sort of a global perspective, like
Right.
looking at the full picture, I think it's just on any metric you want to throw at it, I would grade it the highest, even if I personally, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it's like for story, like if you're looking for a good story-driven place, I mean, this is like ridiculous. There's just so much that could happen here specifically.
It's cool. Like I can see one of the potential limitations of like an entire plane that's a giant city is like it limits maybe you feel the kinds of things you can do. Like, but actually that adds another story element where you have a guild, the Gruul, who are like the anarchists. Like they used to be in charge of like nature in the wilds, but there are no wilds anymore, and so now they're trying to reclaim. They're actually a guild that's just a riotous faction. That's like a really cool way to get in still like the nature and the wild stuff even in a city, but now you've actually used it as a story thing where it's another piece in the puzzle. It's great.
It is great. I love it. It's so good.
Do you want to talk about because I know today you were just catching up on Jace Beleren Must Die, which is a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And that they're using the actual published stuff because
Yeah.
they published Wizards did for Dungeons and Dragons Ravnica as like a campaign setting basically.
Yes.
Which I think is just another piece of evidence about how great it is for storytelling.
Right. Like I'm only on episode 2 and like the second because it's a stream to begin with, right? And so they break it up into episodes. There's like a 1 and a 1.2, and there's a 2 and there's a 2.2, and yada yada yada. I'm only on 2.2, and it's already super fun because like the characters are each from a different clan, I believe, or guild, or the representatives of each guild, and all the different races. Already they ran into a Luxodon and prisoner already once. There's all sorts of like, well, this Luxodon doesn't really want to give away information that he is while in an extra prison cell next to this other person from a different guild because that's not going to be good for them. And they're just making up stuff. And you could just make up stuff like for a role-playing game. It's so easy to like just go, yeah, let's make a maid cafe.
Right. You're in this city, like anything can happen here.
I want to make a udon shop or like let's start a food truck business and let's use it as our front, and we're gonna lure Jace to eat our hot dog from our hot dog stand and stab him to death. Like it's really fun. I like that about a city because Ravnica is not just just a city. It's got it's whole worldscapes essentially, so it's not just a city block. There's a whole forest and there's a whole underground, all that shit.
And I think this set does better. It was one of the OGs, maybe the OG as far as like guilds, where it's like we're going to create these color identities that people will really identify with. Shards did it, Cons did it for 3-color wedges, but they just have not done it they've never been able to replicate the success of the guilds and as far as like capturing an essence of a thing.
Right. And it's just so good from from a business perspective too, just to make these guilds that are like basically a personality test.
Yeah.
Because like the huge thing about makes Magic great is the fact that you get to inject your own personality into your playstyle, into your decks and everything. And the guilds are a huge like, oh yeah, I'm fucking Boros. Like I belong to the Boros Guild. I remember when they were the set that came out, Guilds of Ravnica. They had an actual like
A personality
quiz to see where you get put in, and it's like, yes, I have a Boros Legion pin on my backpack. I'm looking at it right now. It's right above my Tolarian Community College pin. So
Boros.
Love Boros. It's so good. Boros is great. That's where I belong.
It's also fun when you're talking to your friends and you're trying to guess what each other's guilds should be, or like what you think they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Of the world building too, I love the idea of the guild pact. It's such a neat idea. I love contract magic, I guess.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, it's like true name. It's like true name magic, or just like
it's
your
so
word
cool.
is your word is your bond kind of deal.
It's so cool. The original set, the guild pact, has stood for 1,000 years. I also liked, each of the guilds had a Perun, a founding member of the guild. And it was so cool that was 1,000 years ago. And a couple of the guilds, their Peruns are still around. Like Rakdos is still around. Niv Mizzet is still around. That was awesome. I loved that.
What a good plane.
I also like, as far as world building goes and the guilds, I loved the biggest thing that they introduced and really focused on when they returned to Ravnica was the idea of the guildless, which makes there are people in Ravnica who don't belong to any guild. And actually, they're most people, Most people don't have a guild affiliation. Most people, and so you just get run over, which in my head, knowing nothing about Jace Beleren Must Die, when I heard that name, I assumed that this was going to be a story about guildless people who are like, fuck the living guild pact, fuck all of this, bring it all down. That's what it felt like to me.
I gotcha. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it was mentioned at the beginning. It's like I listen to podcasts and I'm doing work at the same time. Not sure if it was dropped, but right now it sounds like they have some sort of affiliation with guilds.
I was going to say, if I was playing in a Ravnica setting, I don't know if I'd be able to resist wanting to be in a guild.
Yeah, you could start out in a guild, but it doesn't mean you have to stay in it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think, what was another thing I was going to say? Oh, I think my favorite thing about all this guild stuff is Dimir, which we know, that's your, that would be your guild. Mm-hmm. Black, blue, and red, white over here.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious. They have a super, they made a symbol for themselves that they wear, and it's like, but you're probably supposed to be of a secret group. Your symbol should not be this widely and prominently displayed.
No, but that's the beautiful thing. The original card, Dimir's Signet, has great flavor text. It says, it is a symbol that is only seen by its own members and the doomed. So if you see a Dimir Signet, that means you are fucked. You're about to die.
No, absolutely not. If I see Dimir Signet, I'm like, you're stupid. I'm going to kill you right now.
And then I loved the second time they showed the Dimir Signet, when they did return to Ravnica. It's not like on a piece of paper or stamped anywhere. It's like part of the terrain. Like if you look at this underground from the right angle, you see it. See, that's great. That's great stuff.
Honestly, I'll allow it this time. That is a good workaround for why you can have a Dimir Signet on all of your products if you're going to be like, okay, you're fine. I'll allow it.
That's good creative problem solving.
Good, yes, it is. I'll allow it.
We need to complete this cycle of cards, but why would a secret guild have a symbol? No, it's good. Okay, I think
we should just stop talking. We shouldn't even talk about the other ones we chose because obviously Ravnica's both are just our favorites. I don't know why I almost listed it first, but
what did you put as first?
Nostalgia won out, so I'll talk about. I guess I'll just go ahead and say it's Lorwyn. Yeah. It's Lorwyn Shadowmoor.
Yeah.
I really like. So Eldraine, very orderly, very much kind of similar to like True Name Magic pack stuff. It's got there's some sort of order to that magic.
Yeah.
Lorwyn to me is very more chaotic and natural magic. Mm-hmm. And so I personally think I enjoy that more than I like both, but I think this one's more mysterious, more like I don't understand how this plane operates, especially because they don't really fucking understand why every 100 years or something what it was that it becomes Shadowmoor.
The eventide comes,
yeah, which is such a cool thing. I love this shit so much. I also love that there are absolutely no fucking humans on this plane. That is just all elementals, changelings, and fae, boggarts. I love boggarts so much. Kithkin, giants. God, it's so good. So yeah, this is I put it as number one for me because for me it reminds me of a
more innocent time.
Well, no. I'm trying to explain it in a way that you would understand it, because I'm trying to use I'm going to use an anime reference. So there's an anime called Mushishi. Mushishi, have you seen this? I don't think you've seen this. Okay. So, or have you heard me say it?
Nope.
Okay. So this is more about the monsters in Japanese folklore that are kind of more like they're shapers of the world, like they are natural forces themselves. They are basically the magical bacteria that makes up other magical things. And it's like basically before people start trying to like make construct around magic. And so to me, Lorwyn feels like closer to that stage.
It's more primordial.
Yes, exactly. And I definitely like that because it's more, I don't know, not necessarily interesting.
More raw.
More raw magic.
Raw.
Raw. Lorwyn, raw.
That's cool. I mean, they're definitely playing into that. It's like, to use a D&D reference, like Lorwyn is the sorcerer to Eldraine's wizard.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's good. And nostalgia is a very real thing. Like,
yeah.
Mirrodin, I think, made it on the list largely in part to nostalgia.
Gotcha. Oh, man. I'm just looking at pictures of Kithkin and Marrows and elves that look like sweet fucking cool elves and not like stupid human elves.
Oh, yeah, because I forgot all about that. I love the elves in Lorwyn.
Yeah.
That they're all about, like, they're weird perfectionists and they want to stamp out ugliness, and so that turns them into, like, tyrants in a weird way.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
They're aristocratic, ruthless, and predatory.
Yeah.
Their society revolves around the laws of beauty, a code that specifies how one's cunning and personal attractiveness determines one's social rank. If you are only moderately beautiful, you are a low-ranking elf. If you are ugly or disfigured or a non-elf, which is by definition a truly ugly thing to be, then you're an eye blight, a creature unworthy of respect, or even if it is deemed so, life.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I like that interpretation of elves.
There are 4 social classes: faultless, immaculate, exquisite, and perfect.
Oh, yeah, Imperious Perfects. Yeah, I like that a lot. It reminds me, this is going on a little bit of a tangent, but I love when this world-building stuff takes a trope that you know and subverts it in some way. It's just really fun and playful. Like in Dark Sun, they took elves and also did a different thing. In Dark Sun, elves are like vultures, basically. They roam in packs, and they are scavengers. And if you're out in the wastes by yourself, they will swoop down on your camp and pick you dry.
Jeez.
Like, seeing elves is like a nightmare in Dark Sun. And it's such an interesting take where it's like in a Tolkien-esque world, it's like, the elves!
Yeah.
It's party time! Here it's like, you see black cloaks riding across the dunes, and you're like, oh, fuck. They're gonna eat us.
God, yeah. Same with like fairies and stuff too. Whenever fairies are depicted like how they are in Lorwyn, they look like
they're nightmares.
Nightmares.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Lorwyn definitely has shaped my personal canonical version of Fae. Like, they are animalistic and weird. All right, so I'll just briefly mention my number 2, because we already talked about number 1. My number 2 pick was Zendikar.
Okay.
Nostalgia plays in here, but I'm talking about the OG, the first time we ever saw Zendikar. It was the adventure plane. It was not Adventure the Mechanic, but like it was like magical Indiana Jones, the world. The whole theme
Uncharted.
of it was it's this incredible wild. It kind of fits into what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the set really communicated the danger of this place. There were trap cards. There were these crazy monsters. They also emphasized the crazy treasures that you could find there.
Oh, cool.
I loved, there's a whole set of creature type called allies, who are like people that you get to go on these adventures with you. You band together out on these expeditions. This is where the Great Goblin Guide text comes from. I've been to so many places in this world. I even remember some of them.
Yes, great. Also, Eldrazi.
Yep.
I see.
This is where the Eldrazi, not where they're from, but this is where they were awoken, imprisoned, and then awoken.
Cool.
They did really cool world building in the first 2 sets of hinting at the Eldrazi before we knew what they were.
Yeah.
This had the Eldrazi monument, and it had that great flavor text. Gods don't die, they merely slumber. And there's so much good stuff. Just really briefly, last note here before we move on. Zendikar and Mirrodin both share this thing where they're these beautiful, wonderful, unique planes that they then just like took a dump on and said, this world's been destroyed.
Aww.
Now, I think they're learning their lesson because one of the upcoming sets is, I forget what it's called, but Return to Zendikar Resurgent, something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think the idea is we're going back to Zendikar, and it's going to be Zendikar. It's not going to be Eldrazi Battlefield.
Oh, but it should be Eldrazi Battlefield.
We already did that.
I wanted more. I wasn't around for it.
See, but I love the Eldrazi too. I just think they should be a different thing. It'd be like if War of the Spark had destroyed Ravnica. That would have sucked.
Yeah. Yes, that would have been stupid. Why would you destroy such a beautiful, perfect plane?
That's what the Eldrazi and Zendikar are like to me. It's like, look, I like Ravnica a lot. I like Nicol Bolas a lot. I even like them coming to conflict. But at the end of the day, I don't want to lose Ravnica. At the end of the day, I don't want to lose Zendikar, you know?
But once something is broken, you can rebuild it all the time, always, 100%. It's Magic the Gathering. They can do anything.
Which they are.
They got magic.
Which they're doing.
Yeah.
But now you're kind of running into the comic book problem of, like, I don't care anymore. Like, the character died. So what? He's been back like 5 times.
Yeah. Well, then, I get that too. I understand.
Okay, so getting into talking about world building, we already hinted at this. Here's what I want to do. You're so excited. Well, here's what I want to do for the second segment. I want to brainstorm and think of our own planes that we want to go to.
Yes!
So let's go on the bus. Let's go to Flavortown.
Oh yeah, welcome to Flavor Town, home of the creamiest flavors inside the Berlin. I can't run. It is illegal.
That's my truck noise.
Oh no, your real voice is coming out.
I'm just stepping on a goblin.
All right, speaking of goblins, I assume that you have like a goblin plane in mind?
Yeah.
Goblins?
Yeah, exactly. It's just all goblins all the time.
That's the name of the plane.
24/7.
Whoops, all goblins.
Whoops all. Well, no, we can't do that because we did Whoops all planeswalkers. This is sweet. There's goblins. That's the name of my plane.
Double stuffed goblins.
Oh yeah, jeez. Triple stuff. Quadruple stuff.
Just
Goblins. How many goblins can you pack in a bag of Oreos? At least 5 million on this plane is what it is contained in. It's what it looks like. It's like an Oreo box, you know? And you have to get into it like you rip through it like you're peeling back. And then your inside is just goblins covered in cream filling.
This is like some weird fanfic that you're writing.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is
that you
just...
have written.
What? I have not written anything. I don't write.
So,
but yeah, so goblins.
Did you have a goblin plane in mind?
No, I want to say free balling. Every time I want to say free balling, that is the wrong. It's spitballing. I'm just spitballing here. It's called improv.
Here.
Shut up. I hate when I say that. Okay, so yes, I do want a goblin plane though. I think it'd be perfect.
It is funny. I think. Goblins are just always a supplementary race. Goblins are never like a dominant force on the world.
I want cowboy goblins. I want farmer goblins. I want mermaid goblins. I want goblins that tame unicorns. I want goblins that build trains and goblins that destroy trains. And this is going to be my favorite. It might be like an unset plane, honestly. That would be really fun.
Now, to pick out the gem in that pile of other gems, you have mentioned before, I mean, obviously you're a big fan of cowboys and goblins, and especially goblin cowboys. Do you think there's anything to like a Magic the Gathering Wild West?
I want
inspired?
A Western goddamn plane right now.
So
it's all I want. I got so excited. Sorry, Kenny. I got so excited when Mark Rosewater mentioned, like, oh, it's going to be some sort of Western
that's right.
theme. And
talking about Eldraine, like Western medieval mythology.
Medieval. And I was like, I read that as Western yeehaw. And I was so disappointed when I saw fairies and like
without cowboy hats. Fairies are okay.
Or spurs or lassos or horses. So or chaps or fringe or cows.
It's boots and straps and cowboy hats.
Oh, God, I want that so bad. I want there to be cactus creatures. What?
Here's my question, though. Because, like,
yes.
in the same way, we get Eldraine, which is, like, fairy tale, Arthurian legend. But, importantly, with its own unique Magic the Gathering spin. So my question for you is, what is the Magic the Gathering spin on a Western world? What's unique about this world that separates it from just, white Earth?
There's gold in them hills.
That doesn't make it different. That's the same.
What do you mean different? Everything in Magic's the same. It's all the same.
No, it's got its own wrinkle to it, dude. It's like, so for example...
Everybody has to ride a horse.
Can I give you an example?
Okay, fine. Give me an example.
Have to ride a horse? What? That's the most basic thing you could have done. No, so, like, for example, we went to Kaladesh, which is like steampunk world.
Okay.
But it wasn't just generic steampunk world. It was steampunk world that is, like, also Indian-inspired and has this theme of innovation. So they have this Creators Inventors Festival that sort of dominates the entire thing. So what is the Magic equivalent of that for a cowboy western theme?
I'm so confused. So you're saying
I'm saying it can't just be cowboys in a
saloon
playing
poker.
Just
be that.
No, it can't. That's a different
What
game.
if it's like a giant, like there's a thing, gambling that happens. It's Texas Hold'em that happens every year on this planet. It's a huge tournament. It determines who's going to be the king of the Goblin Cowboys. There's always a shootout. At least 200 goblins die. And it's a sacrifice to the moon cow. Okay?
This podcast is a sacrifice.
I'm just mad at you right now that you don't understand how beautiful this vision is.
Okay, so gambling, I agree.
Yes, there's lots of gambling. It's casinos. There's a casino city.
There should definitely be some sort of, I'm thinking of a mechanic for this world, some sort of like cool gambling element needs to be a part of it.
Yeah, and also lassoing things. You get to round up creatures. It's called the roundup mechanic.
Round up 2, when this creature is battlefield, round up 2 target creatures.
Exactly. 2 tokens. 2 token creatures.
Oh, so like you're summoning tokens when you round things up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Eyebrows.
Yes.
I was thinking too, like the big theme for me with the cowboy plane is like a frontier. Like it's important that there is an unexplored region that we're
manifest destiny.
Yeah, exactly. We're exploring, like, so the important things, here's what you need. You need, like, a force that's moving out into the wilds, and you need some sort of faction that's already there and is, like, resistant to these outsiders. Some sort of danger.
It's just another goblin tribe.
I was going to say, I think this is where your magic element comes into play. Like, whatever the natives need to be something, like, really supernatural, and I think they need to be really powerful. Like Na'vi-esque. Like, you're rooting for these guys.
I'm rooting for everybody on this planet.
For sure. Okay.
Or this plane.
I was thinking of a plane. It's kind of inspired by Lorwyn. The idea of you have this flipped shadow version of a world. I think it would be super cool if they did a Magic set where we visited like a parallel universe to everything we've been exploring right now. And so you would see all kinds of different current characters, but like their flipped version. So you would see like a
Inside Out Chandra.
No, you would see like a red Jace Beleren. Like what would red Jace look like? Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, he'd be all sassy.
Yeah,
and actually have like a personality.
Yeah, and you would see like maybe a blue Chandra. You would see like a white like Liliana. What would happen?
Oh my God, she'd be so beautiful. I like her way more if she was in a white aligned mana.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think this is because they dipped their toe into this with Planar Chaos, which was in Time Spiral.
Okay.
That was in Time Spiral, there were 3 sets. It was like past, present, future. And present was hard to do, so they did like alternate versions of old cards, kind of.
Gotcha.
But they were dipping their toes into it. I think if you had a whole world that was like, here is a parallel universe, because it's a multiverse, right? Everything has happened. Here's a parallel universe where we get these shadow versions of things that we know and love in the current storyline. The problem they had with Planar Chaos is that it was too inside baseball. Like the references were like old stuff. But if it's about modern stuff, current stuff, that's just like a fun time.
Yeah.
Like exploring these different ways these characters might have been. It sounds so cool.
It is cool. You know what else is cool? Prospector Goblin.
They already have treasure tokens.
Yeah. No, this would be something different.
Okay. How would it work?
I don't know. I'm just saying it would be. I don't have to come up with it. I just have to be the idea generator. You come up with the mechanics. But I do like the idea of flipped version world.
Yeah.
Ooh, goblins are high society.
Oh, yeah.
And elves eat their own poop.
Yeah, the elves are like the lowest of the low, basically.
God, what a world.
Oh, I wish.
I wish. It exists in our hearts and in our minds.
It's beautiful.
And now in your listeners as well.
Yeah, true.
Because you know you want both this Western world and this inverse world.
I did have just another stray thought that they could explore, which would be cool. What if they did like a shonen world? Like a Dragon Ball Z world, like all about fighters and ki. It'd be like doing Kamigawa, but just focusing on the martial tradition. Like that would be the center of it. Level Up could come back and it could be awesome.
Oh yeah, I like Level Up a lot.
Yeah,
That's
Level
fun.
Up is a fun mechanic, and it makes total sense in a world where you're like leveling up your powers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What if they do like superheroes, like My Hero Academia, because that's a shonen-esque.
Yeah, you could combine these.
That's
things.
a shonen. Yes.
And so you could have
a plane of superheroes that actually like superheroes, and not these stupid planeswalkers that just I don't know what they
legit
do.
like some sort of hero like
they're not but they're not planeswalkers.
Right,
they're
no,
just legit superheroes. Yeah.
Like you could, I'm imagining like a different version of the monstrous mechanic, where a creature you pay a cost and it becomes monstrous. What if you pay a cost and it becomes heroic?
Transformation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, Sentai. So it's like Power Rangers.
Hell yeah, and giant. Oh my god, this is an area that they're definitely. This just randomly turned into a prediction. Because coming up in the spring, we're going to Ikoria, which is the monster world. I bet you anything they're going to have a vehicle that is a mecha.
Get in the robot, Shinji.
I think that's going to be dope. You heard it here first, everybody.
When this comes out 5 months later.
This is a Red Mage, Blue Mage exclusive.
Wink. Wink.
All right, do you want to call it there?
Yeah, we winked. That means it's over.
Wink is the signal for the end of the episode.
Wink.
Right.
I'm done. I'm out.
Thanks for listening, everybody. It's back to my regular voice.
Oh God!
Yeah, just kidding.
What was the voice? What was the voice I made for my normal voice? I can't remember.
This was Red Mage Blue Mage. You can email us redmagebluemage@geekspective.com. You can tweet at us at redbluemtg. You can tweet at me at Wolfmere.
And me at Rocket Orca.
And until next time, I'll be representing Counterspell.
And I have 500 goblins in an Oreo box.
Peace.
I dabbed out.